Hi there, welcome to Carla is Crafty number 90. For those of you who are new, who've never met me, my name is Carla. I'm a mom, a wife, and a midwife, and I'm a born-again Christian, and I love people enough to tell them that. I know it's been a bit, and I haven't recapped my market from last weekend, so we'll just kind of get into things. Finished objects. I have some bags that I did, and unfortunately the ones I took to market are buried in a pile because I'm trying to organize this room a little better, and I have all of my market stuff stacked. But I did make this one yesterday, and yes, I'm using it because it's Hagrid's Pumpkin Farm. Yes, I got that design and was going to put it on a shirt because I have one that I made with my Cricut and I wanted another one, and then I didn't have a shirt light enough to put it on where everything would show up good, and so I thought I'm going to put it on one of those canvas bags, and I really like it on the bag, and it takes like an hour and a half to run, so I don't know if I'll put it on a shirt or not. I don't know. Earrings. I made some witch and skull earrings with my embroidery machine. So these are witch's hat earrings. I thought those were kind of cute. And then these are the skulls. I thought those were kind of cute too. And this is you do it on water-soluble stabilizer. So when you're done, you just like basically dunk them in water and that stabilizer melts. I did 2 pair of skull and then the pair of witch's hat. I was going to do more, but I couldn't find my earring box to make earrings. I have a little box that I have all of my earring making supplies in, you know, and I couldn't find it. Well, and I didn't find it before my market, so I was like, well, I guess I won't take those earrings with me to market. And day before yesterday, I was looking for my ring light so I could take pictures to put products on Tidu and in my shop. And I thought it was in the closet, and I looked in the closet and it wasn't in there, but that was. So I did find my ring light. It was in a pile over there behind you, which I won't show you because it's an absolute mess. I really gotta pare down things in this room. I need to have a yard sale. Yeah. And then, so I didn't make a bunch more of those, but I did make those. And then, I know I've made some plushies probably before my market and after my last video, but it's all repeats of stuff that I make. So, and then, Joys in Progress. I've got a special order for a bunny snuggler. This pattern is from Crochet for the Wee Ones, and it's got a long-eared bunny option and a stand-up ear bunny option. I'm doing the floppy ears, and but the little overalls are so cute. I have a special order for a bunny with overall snuggler. She saw my bunnies, you know, my long skinny bunnies that have the overalls on. She wanted a snuggler though, so I got that pattern and a hat to match. So I've got that going on. And then I'm in the middle of embroidering 59 shirts for a business. So I'll throw I've got a little video of me out in the shop messing around with that machine and showing the glamorous side of embroidery machine work. Because I look so glamorous. And so I have a little clip for the end of that. And then future orders, I just got an order for some tea towels. A lady had brought me the tea towels. She'll bring me tea towels or shirts or whatever she wants embroidered on and tell me what she wants on them, and then just pays me for the embroidery job. So we're doing that. My Tidu shop is open. I will link that below if anybody wants to go check it out. I did link it on my Carla is Crafty Facebook page. So, you know, if you belong to that group, you can find the link there. Man, my phone is really giving me fits today. I mean, my watch. So that is open. I don't have everything in there. I've got my canvas bags and my quilted bags in there. And then I did one big bag of plushies. I need to get the rest of them photographed and in there. But, you know, you have to photograph everything and you have to weigh it and measure it and put all that information in along with your price and stuff. And so I have those things in the shop. And then we'll see how that goes. And then acquisitions. I had gone to visit my son and they have a Buc-ee's, and so I got myself a Buc-ee's t-shirt. Now, if you ever buy a shirt at Buc-ee's, be aware that your price tag is also a sticker, okay? This is a Buc-ee's sticker. So I didn't know that when you bought these shirts. Of course, you know, because I've only been to Buc-ee's a couple of times. But anyway, so there's that. And then Premier Parfait Chunky Goblin color. I had put in an order to Hirschner's in August, and it said they were out of stock. They'd notify me when it was back. And when Premier says they'll notify you it's back, but Hirschner's let me order it. But then I thought, well, they'll just message me when it's back in. And I ordered some from Premier, directly from Premier when it was back in stock for them. So I figured I'd never get that from Hirschner's. And then last week I get this notification that I have a shipment coming from Hirschner's. And I was like, oh. So I have 5 more skeins of Goblin to go with the 5 or 6 I'd already purchased. That's okay. I love the color. I'll make stuff with it. It'll make cute Christmas stuff. That with like that cardinal red. I think that would be some pretty Christmas plushies. Yeah. So, and then I also, when I went to visit my son, he was so sweet and he took me on the rounds to go to Beal's because I was looking for that dachshund skeleton purse from Betsy Johnson that Beal's had gotten. And of course they didn't have it. I think everybody's bought them all up already because you can find them on eBay for $250, which no, I'm not doing that. If I can't find it in the store, I'll just live without it. And I just thought it was super cute and I wanted to get it. So, and then he took me to Ross and I found this beauty. Isn't she gorgeous? She has a little bell. So she's got like pellets or something in the feet so she'll stand up, and I just think that's going to be a cute little addition to my Christmas decor. So there we go. And then Heather from Cottontail Crafts was talking about an eye tool. Now I have the Crojo Mojo safety eye tool. I really like it. It's reasonably priced. It works really well. She was saying it felt kind of bulky to her and kind of big, and so she had gotten this other one off Amazon. So I thought, I'm going to order it and compare them. Okay, so if you compare size, you know, they're really pretty much the same size, right? They're not, whatever. This one's a little lighter weight, and I don't know. This one is some heavy-duty plastic with this metal post through it, and I really like the way it works. I like that I'm supporting a small business with this. I feel like Crojo Mojo is a small business I'm supporting. And then, you know, and I mean, this one, I don't know. I haven't used it yet. I just took it out of the box today to compare the size because I think there was some talk about how much bigger this one is, and I guess it does seem bigger, but it's really not any bigger. So when I do a new plushie that requires safety eyes, I will use this one and I will tell you how they kind of compare. The plushie I'm working on right now is for a baby, so it will have embroidered eyes. And then that's kind of it. We can talk about my market. So I had everything written down that I sold, for what price. I had all of my different various methods of payment and all that written down. And when I was gone yesterday to the store, Sophie decided she was a little anxious, my dachshund, you know, and she got a hold of my notebook that was buried underneath the sweatshirt because I thought, oh, well, she won't find it there. But she nuzzled around under that sweatshirt and found that book and ate the cover of the book and the back pages, which is where all my stuff was written down. So there we go. I can tell you, it was a 5-hour market from 11 to 4, and we got there about 8 and unloaded and had everything. And I mean, I was set up by 10 because I thought it started at 10 for some reason. I guess it's because they said all the cars had to be moved out of the loading area by 10 o'clock. But it didn't start till 11, but that's okay. We were all set up by 10 o'clock. My friend came with her 2 kids. Her son was playing his guitar and singing at the event, and so it was the Owasso Harvest Festival, which was really cool. And then they helped me set up, and the kids kind of got to run around and visit other vendors and do other things and enjoy that, and that was great. And then I didn't, you know, as usual, the plushies sell really well. So I sold one zippered dish mat bag, you know, the bags I make from dish mats that have the zippers. I sold one of those with pumpkins on it. None of my embroidered bags sold. I had 12 bags with various designs on them. Now, I think part of the problem with that, with my embroidered items, was directly across from me. I was on a corner. It was really nice, so I could really display things. But directly across from me was a woman who had a custom embroidery business booth, and she had so much bags and shirts and, you know, tons of things. And so I think probably she had so much of it that people weren't looking at my one little section of my booth. When you look at my booth, you see the plushies, okay? I'll pop up pictures. That's what people see, and it's fine. I don't mind that they sell. I'm happy they sell. I would have liked to sell a lot more of them because I have so much. Because, you know, my last festival was terrible because it was too hot and nobody was buying anything. So anyway, we had a nice booth. Like, I had a 6-foot table with plushies, and then on the corner I had my big grid wall with my bags hanging on it and my aprons. Still have a couple of aprons left, just a couple. I didn't make more because they don't sell well there. I sell more of those custom ordered than I do like at festivals. And then I had a 4-foot table. Half of it was some more plushies, and then my friend, her mom had written these books called Poppin' Johnny and Poppin' Johnny 2, kids books. And I will pop in the Amazon thing on it because she sells those on Amazon, I believe, too. But she had brought some of her mom's books, had asked if she could bring them and sell them since she was coming to help me. And I said, yeah, sure. And she did sell, I think, 3 books, which wasn't bad. So that was really nice. So that was set up there. But again, I think it probably hurt the embroidery part of mine was that woman had so many things set up. And I had a lot of people look at my other bags and my quilted bags, you know, and I have marked those things down so much because they haven't been selling. And I guess it's just one of those things. They aren't selling. I'm in the wrong markets for them to sell. So maybe if I get one in November before Thanksgiving, they might sell for Christmas gifts and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I don't have a market that I'm going to do. I talked to somebody about one on November 8th, but they are full up. So, you know, that's okay. But anyway, I sold, like I said, 1 zippered dish mat bag. Everything else I sold was plushies. 2 of my small bats that were $15, they sold. I sold 2 $20 sea turtles. I sold a $25 dragon, white dragon that was one of the, like the Light Fury, I guess, lookalikes. Again, I bought that pattern for the big one and the small one, not knowing that movie, not ever seen How to Train Your Dragon, so I had no idea. And so I sold the smaller $25 one. The larger $50 one got a lot of looks, but people thought it was too much. But I mean, people sell those for over $100, so I felt like $50 was pretty reasonable. But it didn't sell, and that's fine. I'm not marking that one down anymore. I had started out at 75 at the first market I took it to, and then I decided to drop it to 50 because I thought that was more reasonable. But I'm not going any lower than that because there's a lot of work in that dragon. And then I had a lot of $5 items. So I sold like stingrays and little whales, the little chicken eggs. I make some small chicks and eggs with the just chenille from Premier that you get at the dollar store. And I put those in my $5 bin. And I like to have a lot of $5 items because I think little kids, you know, they can usually get $5 to buy something like that. And at least they can get something. And I had this little family and they came by 2 or 3 times. And finally, like maybe the third time they came by, they bought a little lizard, one of my small lizards in my $5 bin for their little boy. And then the dad had given me 20, and so I gave him 15 back, and he said, can I have that in 5s? And that way I can give the other kids their $5. And I said, sure. So I gave him the 5s, and they gave the other kids $5, and the little girl wanted something from the booth, but she couldn't decide what. And so they were like, well, we'll just come back or whatever. So they left, and, you know, it gets to be about 10 till 4, and I start packing things up. Well, I started with my bags and stuff because I knew if I was going to sell anything last minute, it would be a plushie. So then it's after 4 o'clock, we're loading all the plushies up. Well, I didn't realize it, but this little girl, and she was probably about 12. I don't know. She wasn't a little girl, but she wasn't, you know, an older teenager either. And I guess she came back and said something to my friend's daughter. And when she saw that we had everything packed up, she started crying and left. And I didn't see her or hear her because I was on the other side, you know, loading stuff up. And within about 5 minutes, her mom comes back with her. And she's like, well, what do you want? And so she told me, and I said, okay. So I found it, and I got it for her and got her money from her. And I said, I'm so glad you came back. I'm sorry that I didn't know you were here earlier, you know, before this. I didn't see you, or I would have gotten it for you then. And she's like, oh, it's okay. But her mom was really kind of grouchy with her and was just very impatient, which I get. It's the end of a long day, and they'd been there, I think, all day, and it was hot for them. Underneath the canopy, it was nice for us. Once I got over my overheating from setting everything up, it was great. But yeah, but she got what she wanted, and it was all good. So we're happy about that. But like I said, my total sales was $489. I think $175 was on Square, $20 was on Cash App, and everything else was cash. And then I think my Square fees, I had that written in my notebook too, that Sophie destroyed. We call her Sophie the Destroyer because literally if she gets a hold of something and you don't catch her, she will destroy it. Which is funny because she doesn't destroy any of her toys. Of course, her toys aren't made out of paper and things like that, but I think my Square fees were $6 or $7. It wasn't a whole lot. And then it was, like I said, a 5-hour market. So I almost got my $100 an hour that I kind of had set as my goal for markets. And definitely got my 10 times my booth fee because my booth fee was $40. I didn't spend money on lunch because my friend, who's so stubborn, and I gave her money to when she went to buy us lunch at the food trucks, paid for my lunch and sent her kid back with my money because she's stubborn like that. And then I did purchase, the lady in the booth to the left of me was doing, her business is like different things with essential oils and soaps and shampoos and stuff. So I bought some hair oil stuff that's supposed to stimulate hair growth that's made with essential oils and stuff. And so I purchased that from her and a bar of soap because I only use bar soap, and she had some like invigorating body soap or whatever that she makes with her essential oils and things like that. That was the only purchase I made. It was less than $20. And then the ladies in the booth behind us on the other corner, they had bread and cookies and brownies and things like that. And at the end of the day, she brought over some bread and cookies and brownies to give to my friend and I said, you know, I have these left over. I don't want them to go to waste. I just want to give them to you. And I said, okay, pick a plushie, because I don't want you to go away feeling like you've had to give away your inventory. So she picked a plushie, and that was nice. She'd already bought actually a couple of plushies from me and taken my business card because she wanted to know if she could order some things for Christmas and stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. So anyway, got that all done. And that's kind of it. It was a really nice day. We had a lot of fun. It's always nice to be somewhere with your best friend, and it makes the day go faster. And, you know, yes, we had all the people that come by and have to touch every plushie, especially adults. Is that not crazy? Like, I'll have adults that tell their kids, don't touch everything. Decide what you want and pick it up. That's fine, but don't touch everything. But then I have adults that come by and just like touch pretty much everything. And I'm okay with that, because I get that you want to feel it or look at it to see the quality of it and see if you know, whatever. And even, I mean, I had one lady come by that was just taking pictures, and I think she's probably just getting ideas for herself, which I don't care. You know, it's not like you're going to buy anything from me anyway. I did have one kid who was probably about 14 or 15 come by and pick up something and show his friend and go, hoo, 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 and then throw it back at the table. That irritated me. But I kept my cool, and I didn't come over the table at him. But I did keep my eye on it and make sure he didn't come back. Yeah, you know. But, and I get it. You know, I need to put some signs up like Robin's does. But even Robin, with all her nice signage, she still has that problem with people coming and, you know. And I guess maybe they do that wherever they go. Just they don't have any respect for people's property and things like that. And it's frustrating, because I know not every kid's like that. I'm not going to say, oh, this whole generation. It's not this whole generation. It is select people who have never been taught to respect other people and respect their property and things like that. Because there are a lot of really great young people out there who are respectful and who do listen and do pay attention. And I think the biggest thing is at those festivals is there's so much sticky food that you really don't want people touching your stuff if they have sticky hands. And I had some really great families, and the parents were like, nope, your hands are dirty, don't touch that. Or here, let me show you that, you know, because they've got a sucker in their hand or whatever. But it's just, it continues to be one of those things that we deal with every time we do markets. Like I said, my Tidu shop is set up, and I'll link that below. I'm hoping to have good success with that. The area I'm in, unless I want to go into Tulsa and do those bigger markets, which I would, you know, it's just when I'm doing these smaller markets, I'm not going to do as well. I've never done, you know, like $1,000 like some other people do at a market. And those bigger markets, though, when you get into Tulsa, I mean, the fees are pretty exorbitant too. And I even looked at like a little place to do like a booth or a shelf, and they want so much a month, plus they want a percentage of your sales. But I mean, you know, I think Ella's experienced that with the little shop she did that with. And, you know, you have to kind of set a goal. This is how much I need to sell to make this, you know. And like the one I was looking at, it was like $100 a month for a booth, plus 10 or 15% of your sales. Or you could do like a shelf for $60 a month, plus that percentage of your sales. Well, I would hope I could sell, but I mean, if I only sold $100 worth, why bother, you know? So I'm hoping the Tidu shop works out well. I don't want to do Etsy. I'm very disappointed with Etsy that they don't seem to support handmade crafters anymore, that they seem to allow people to buy this drop shipped stuff from overseas that is made very cheaply or made with cheap labor, and then they're selling it and undercutting handmade crafters because you know, you can't cut your prices that low, plus all the fees that they charge you to sell your stuff or to post your stuff and things like that. So we'll see how this goes. And we'll go from there. I think that's it. And I will try to post some more on my Facebook group if I come across some crafty items that I think you guys might want for the price of postage, you know, like crochet books or something like that. When I'm clearing out this room, then I'll get those on there. And I know I'm not really good about that, but I do have still some plushy yarn that I'm willing to send to somebody. It's honey bunny yarn. Plus there's a couple of skeins of some acrylic willow wash yarn. There's a few skeins of that. And then there's also some Amy sticks that I made that I put in this box too. One of the ladies wanted this and claimed it first, but she hasn't been able to get the email to work. I know I've given her a couple of emails. So if anybody wants the plushie and the acrylic in purples, then let me know. Email me at mycarloscrafty553@gmail.com and either comment so I know who's the first person, and then send me your mailing address if you're willing to pay postage for a box of yarn. I'll have to get a bigger box, obviously. But there is that. That's just part of my downsizing. So, okay. Thanks, guys. Remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. And have a wonderful weekend. Bye. Oh, look. It's the glamorous part of running a machine embroidery business. We take the hoop off. And we put the new hoop on. Yes, I'm a little more graceful with it when I'm using both hands, but when I've got one hand, I've got my camera in. Oops. Sometimes one little piece of fabric wants to get caught. And then here we do this. You always reach underneath and make sure that your interfacing didn't bunch up or something. And then we turn the machine on and let it run again. When you're doing multiples. And then we get to come over here. And release this. And we get to hoop another one. Now that I can't do one-handed. So that I can't do one-handed, like I just said. So I will turn this off and I will be back later with some other crafty talk.